What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about a new update that's live for Black Ops Cold War, a new map that was found, and some Year 2 updates that you've been waiting for. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and make sure you have notifications on to stay up to date with everything going on in Cold War Year 2, Warzone, Modern Warfare 2, and any other future Call of Duty as well. I also want to mention my partner Gamefly, an American online video game rental subscription service that specializes in providing games for game consoles and handheld devices. The business model of Gamefly is simple. It's similar to the DVD by mail subscription service like Netflix or Blockbuster Online. Gamefly sends games to subscribers for a monthly fee. Now, I do remember Gamefly from when I was a little kid, before the digital era took over, of course, and I highly recommend giving Gamefly a shot if you're an OG gamer like I am and do prefer physical copies of your games. Their link is, of course, down below in this video's description and even the pinned comment. But earlier this morning at about, I want to say 11 a.m. my time central, the patch that's been sitting there for Cold War for well over a week and a half finally became installable for all platforms and PC. Now, the update did range from a good 3.5 to 5.5 gigs, depending on what platform you guys are on, but all that we really noticed upon booting up the game is that we now have a different startup screen for Cold War on PC. Coincidentally, I just got my PC earlier this week, so I'm still getting used to things, but yeah, we're no longer going to be seeing the Mason Season 6 cover art that we had for Cold War many months ago. That was still the startup screen for Cold War on PC. Now that's been changed, but other than that, we do have the usual suspects and data miners over on Twitter who have found Modern Warfare 2 pre-order options in the Cold War item shop, which aren't exactly public just yet, but were added to the files as I predicted a couple of weeks ago, right? I'm like, alright, we do have a patch coming up for Cold War, and I theorized that they were going to end up adding Modern Warfare 2 to the item shop so that if you guys want, you could pre-order any of the 3 editions of the game through Cold War specifically and not anywhere else. But do you guys really think it takes 3.5 to 5.5 gigs just to change the startup icons and adding Modern Warfare 2 to the item shop? There's clearly more than meets the eye here, which I believe is either being kept hidden, it's somehow under wraps, and the usual data miners aren't able to actually find out what it is, which I guess is a good thing to keep up the element of surprise for us out there that still care about Cold War. But we do know that this 5 gigabyte-ish patch did not add in the bundles that were leaked via the Warzone files, right? We know that a couple of weeks ago, 2 new bundles were found that are meant to be included with Cold War, but for some reason aren't in the Cold War files yet. That Comrade Mason bundle and the Jack the Ripper Stone skin, those still aren't in Cold War, so we do know that at least it's guaranteed we are 100% going to get another patch for Cold War that will end up adding those bundles to the files. But what's really interesting now is that there is indeed an update on the Ravenov pack, which has essentially been on hold for quite some time now. What was originally called the Ravenov Operator Tracer bundle is now known as the Death's Approach Tracer pack, with a new description that says fight back the hordes with the Death's Approach Tracer bundle. And we're not sure how much it's going to cost, but it still is a zombies themed bundle. However, we don't know what the new artwork looks like for the bundle yet. It's clearly not ready to come out, but I said it from the beginning, right? Whenever this Ravenov bundle leaked out a couple of months ago, this was always a stacked bundle. It features the Scythe melee weapon and then blueprints for some pretty good weapons like the 74U and the Pellington, along with a lot of other zombies themed items. So if you take away Ravenov from that pack, it still is a pretty juiced up bundle featuring zombies cosmetics, but now without Ravenov, it has a completely new name behind it. But like I said, we just don't know what the artwork's gonna look like just yet, but it looks like Activision is interested in selling the bundle without the Ravenov operator. Now, we're of course well aware that every trace of Ravenov was essentially removed from Cold War and Warzone, but for some reason, Ravenov's outfit is still in the Warzone files, and they actually censored out the Soviet icons on his jacket, so we're like, okay, maybe they're gonna re-release Ravenov just with a censored outfit so that he doesn't look like a straight Soviet. But with this update today, I don't know what the future of Ravenov may be. Is this confirmation that he's 100% canceled for good? It's unknown, but if they do end up canceling Ravenov completely and don't end up selling him, then I can't help but wonder why they didn't just release him for free as a super Easter egg reward. I think that would have just been fine for hardcore fans out there that did all the main quests, but I do think Activision knows zombies bundles will sell like hotcakes, and they probably still have interest in reselling Ravenov at some point in the near future, but I'll keep you guys posted with that. Now, for those out there on the edge of your seats for the release of the new Scythe melee weapon, which obviously gives us Grim Reaper and Scream vibes, well, there was something weird that happened this morning. So upon this patch going out, all of a sudden, people noticed that the Scythe melee weapon was actually unlockable for free via multiplayer and zombies, with the typical challenges that you would expect for a new DLC weapon. So for multiplayer, the challenge was using a melee weapon, get 2 kills while Ninja or Dead Silence are active in 15 different completed matches. But then for zombies, it was even crazier. Using a primary melee weapon, kill 200 enemies while insta-kill is active, and they're both pretty fair challenges. I think are fun to do, and I can't wait to do them myself whenever this does officially come out. But people out there then noticed that upon doing the unlock challenges, within about an hour or two of everything going live, the Scythe melee weapon got hotfixed out of the game. If you managed to unlock it for free before it got hotfixed out of the game, I believe you still have access to it, but if you weren't finished with the challenges just yet, you unfortunately just don't get the Scythe today. Now, if you guys for some reason have an early version of the Ravenov bundle, if data miner sent it to you, or if you hacked it onto your account, then you still are able to use the Scythe blueprint that that bundle comes with. But in terms of the base version of the weapon, if you missed out on these challenges within, I think it was like an hour that you had to do them, then unfortunately the Scythe is already out of the game. But the fact that that went live early today has me thinking that maybe we're just a couple of days away, or even a couple of weeks away from the Scythe officially releasing. But clearly, because there isn't new artwork for that Scythe bundle, the bundle just isn't ready to go out just yet. Even though the base weapon is, they're not ready to actually pump out the bundle itself featuring the blueprint and whatever else they want to include in the pack, so therefore they have to push back the release of the Scythe melee weapon. Now, unexpectedly, Treyarch then updated their Trello board with more information about the Scythe itself, and as they went ahead and wrote, status, the Scythe melee weapon unlock challenges were unintentionally available for a short time on June 6th, and were then removed in an update later that morning. Players who unlock the Scythe prematurely will also note that they no longer have access to it in the loadouts at a later date. Now, what's strange is that some people out there that unlock the weapon early are still saying they have access to it, but others are saying they don't. So I think this is a very person-to-person situation where some people out there are experiencing something different from others, and that's just how it goes with Call of Duty bugs sometimes. But they did mention that for unlock progress, players who began the unlock process but did not obtain the Scythe will retain their previous challenge progress whenever the weapon does go live in the future, but players who completed the unlock process will be placed at 14 out of 15 match completions for multiplayer, or 199 out of 200 enemies killed in zombies. As in previous scenarios, due to technical limitations with player inventories, this compromise will allow us to adjust inventories appropriately and establish a path of least resistance to obtain the Scythe at a later date, making it fair for those out there who already put in the time to try to unlock it this morning. But for camo progress, players who previously unlocked the Scythe melee will retain their camo progress. That's a good thing. But in terms of the release date of this goddamn melee weapon, the Scythe is currently scheduled to release later this year, with timing subject to change. Make sure to follow Treyarch on Twitter for the latest news and updates. And that's all they said. So I guess whenever somebody has the chance to create some new bundle artwork for the Scythe at some point this summer is when it should officially release. Now, I'm gonna assume the release of this melee is sooner than later. I mean, we still have the rumor that we're gonna be getting Scream Deathmatch added back into multiplayer, which I believe, if it's gonna come back without the Halloween theme in it, will probably be the way you can use the Scythe for free. So I feel like we're gonna get the release of all that at around the same time, and I highly doubt they'll wait until like August to drop this, since by then we're gonna be deep into more Modern Warfare 2 marketing with the alpha, the beta, possibly a DMZ beta even. So I'm sure they're gonna want to drop this no later than like July, but hey, hopefully it's gonna be at some point in June. I would absolutely love that. Now, what's really interesting is that very reputable leaker Alex over on Twitter did say, and I quote, "Keep this name in mind just in case, Grind." Now, if Grind gets ported over from BO4 into Cold War, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, first of all, Grind was added in for free via the Days of Summer update back during Black Ops 4 in, when was this? It was late 2019, I believe. And that map played pretty good in BO4. It was a fan favorite from BO2, so if it gets added in this summer for Cold War, I think the map would play very well with this game's weapons, the killstreak system. So I'm looking forward to that if it happens, and it's a perfect release for the start of summer, right? So I'm all for it 100%. However, there is of course a chance that whatever was data mined or found could be left over from Black Ops 4. Obviously, whenever a new COD comes out, there are always leftover files and assets from previous COD games that are just there as placeholder, or even for no reason in some case. So don't take it 100% with certainty here, but if Grind was added in, or a reference to it with this patch specifically, then you know for sure that it's a map that's definitely on the way for year 2. But then shortly before this patch went out, we had similar data miners claiming that if there was a map dropping with this update, that it should be firing range. So maybe something out there was found in the files, or maybe something was said behind the scenes with quote-unquote sources and actual reliable people suggesting that firing range would in fact be the next map. There are rumors going around the pipeline that apparently gameplay was seen as of recently of firing range in Cold War multiplayer. So if that is to be believed, then we do know there should at least be a couple of maps left on deck for year 2, which I'm looking forward to. And if anything, there's plenty of time left to release all of that, because I truly believe that Cold War will get some of the last few updates just right before Modern Warfare 2 comes out. I wouldn't expect anything added to Cold War once MW2 is out, but anytime before that, I think sky's the limit. So in terms of maps altogether, be patient, right? If you guys are like, oh, there's no evidence and no proof that there's any more weapons or maps, well, look, we do know we're at least guaranteed a new patch at some point soon to add in more bundles to the files, like the ones that were leaked that for some reason aren't in Cold War yet. They're just in the Warzone files. So whenever that patch comes, presumably the start of Season 4, that's when we can say, all right, this might be the last chance when maybe new maps or remasters get added to the files that are going to be scheduled for release at a later date. So that's why I'm saying be patient, right? If we get the Season 4 patch in a couple of weeks for Cold War and there's no maps found in the files, then at that point there might be a chance there aren't any more maps that are coming. But I think right now it's still very strong, and it's a big possibility that we're going to still get at least a couple BO4 ports. But I want to ask you guys, how would you feel if all the remasters that were in Black Ops 4, and not just the Back in Black maps like Fire Range and Summit or even Grind, but the paid DLC maps like Havana, like Launch, how would you feel if those just got added right into Cold War? I think that would be fine. To some people out there, it might look quote-unquote lazy. They're just porting over maps that are already done in BO4. But look, right, if Treyarch didn't have to worry about Sledgehammer's mess with Vanguard, I think then they would have had time to actually add in new maps during year 2. But considering the time constraints and considering that they have a free-to-play project essentially coming out in 2023 and then a new Black Ops game in 2024, I'm happy with anything. But obviously, if I had my way, I would definitely choose to remaster and bring back maps that haven't got brought back either ever or maybe haven't in a while. But definitely do not forget that despite the core Modern Warfare 2 marketing that's releasing this week, right, the reveal trailer and then the campaign gameplay at Summer Games Fest, aside from that, Cold War is still getting a pretty big update this Friday. In case you guys missed out on some of my previous videos where I talked about this, I'll recap it here for you guys. So we have both the RGB Striker Arcade Brawl Bundle dropping June 10th, which is again Friday, alongside the Beachside Bullets Reactive Pack also dropping on the same day, which makes sense considering that a couple of months ago it was data mined there will be a bundle called Stockpile, which features both of those bundles combined. So it's unclear if the bundles are going to drop at the same time on Friday and then Stockpile will come out on the same day, or both bundles come out on Friday and then Stockpile will be available at a later date, allowing you to just buy them both combined, because neither one of those bundles are worth 2,400 COD points. I mean, they're worth 2,400 COD points, but they don't cost that much. But then when you have Stockpile where they're combined, then both of those cost 2,400 COD points. So it's still a steal regardless. A lot of bang for your buck if you guys out there are interested in cosmetics. So don't forget, I'll be covering everything here on the channel as soon as everything drops later this week, and I'll be streaming all the events and trailers that we are definitely looking forward to. Now, I do want to give a shout out to XX2011 Names over on Twitter, funny name, right, who actually brought to my attention that there's apparently 2 new executions that are now available to use in Cold War for free. So with today's patch, apparently the executions known as Cracked Open and Bowbreaker have been added to the game. Now, I can't confirm if these have been in the game for longer. I don't recognize these executions. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys do. I'm not sure if these were executions tied to like the Amazon Prime rewards or something else that might have been offered in the past, but to my understanding, these are new and are popping up for some people as of today with the latest patch. But if I'm mistaken on this, please correct me respectfully down below in the comments. But if these are new, then hey, free content is free content, right? Take it while you can and maybe take advantage using these finishers in multiplayer or Warzone. I also want to thank every single one of you for tuning in to one of my best gameplay streams I've ever done as of yesterday. It was a crazy time, right? My first test stream on the beautiful new PC. We dropped the Nuke and Cold War multiplayer. We played some custom zombies doing last man standing, and then we got a really nasty dub in Warzone, followed by hopping onto Black Ops 1 Plutonium, which feels like a remastered experience, right? The game runs better, looks cleaner, and it was a ton of fun doing some server browsing. So I thank all of you guys out there for tuning into that. It was a blast, and I'll be doing a lot more nightly streams as often as possible, right? We have a lot of videos to produce this week and some other reaction streams to do to the Modern Warfare 2 marketing, but after all that is said and done, and once things are calmed down a little bit, definitely expect some almost daily gameplay streams as often as I possibly can, along with the podcast every single Friday. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the new update or patch that's live in Cold War Year 2? Are there some secrets behind it that data miners just can't find? And also, what are your thoughts on Grind potentially being remastered again, as well as the updates on the Scythe melee weapon? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.